Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for the live therapy session and live reaction and player ratings live stream following Aston Villa 2, Chelsea 1. As you can maybe tell by my voice, I am recovering from being ill over the last few days, so hopefully my voice holds up being here by myself, speaking to you guys in the chat. And honestly, guys, I'm just miserable. I'm depressed about this. I am extremely sad about this, and I can't really be bothered anymore. I cannot really be bothered anymore. The project is screwed. The project is muddied. The club is muddied. The team is muddied. This manager won't survive. Eventually he'll get sacked. Whether it's in the season, whether it's in the summer, it will happen eventually. I'm done. Even Cole Palmer can't even score a 1-on-1 anymore. All our goalkeepers are the worst goalkeepers in the fucking world. We're done. We're done. And Malo Gusto has turned from being one of the most promising fullbacks, in the world last season to one of the worst players I've ever seen. Can't control a ball, doesn't know when to run, doesn't know when to stay, doesn't know when to pass, doesn't know where to pass it, can't defend to save his life, punts the ball into no man's land every single time or straight to an opponent. Absolutely shocking. Has never heard of a far post defending, gifting them their goal. Oh my God, I can't be bothered. I cannot be bothered. And the thing that makes it so much worse is that we actually started the game really, really well. And the first 20-25 minutes were really good. And I was like, hold up, what is happening? And all that really happened was that we did something somewhat surprising to Aston Villa. We'll get into our lineup in a minute. We did something somewhat surprising. Villa didn't really know how to deal with that for the first 20-25 minutes. We got a goal, played pretty well. And then I don't know exactly what Villa did. Villa somehow adapted. And from one second to the other, we couldn't keep the ball anymore. They completely dominated us. They started to control possession. They started to control the game. We couldn't keep the ball. We couldn't string two passes together. We couldn't string an attack together. And honestly, even though we did have chances to score at later points, they were purely, chances of individual brilliance, like the through ball by Caicedo to Jackson, or a few other moments. There wasn't really much to it. There really wasn't much to it. And Villa could have scored way more. Villa could have easily scored 3 or 4 or 5, like at least 3 or 4. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely shocking. It's absolutely shocking. And like I say, I can't be bothered for it anymore. I cannot be bothered anymore for all of this. Like why do I have to deal with this squad? Why? How can you spend so much money, so unbelievably much money, and have such a shit squad? Such a shit squad. We have 3 players that are remotely good enough. 3. In the whole squad, maybe 4. That's it. Okay, I forgot Cucurella. Make it 5 then. 5 in the whole squad. I'm done, man. I am done. I am absolutely done. RD was happy in the beginning. Neto, what a player. Palmer being on a shite streak. Yep. Why the heck did you not pass to Nkunku? Well, don't know. Why did he pass to Jackson against City in it? I mean, yeah, can't blame this on Sanchez. No, you can't. Big up QNTV. Not sure who that is, but fair enough. Kill me now. Yep, exactly. Palmer messed it up big time with that brilliant pass from Caicedo, but he was not the worst player. There were 2-3 moments where he made a good pass or cross, but no one could close these. Honestly, it's not about who was the worst player, who was not. They were all shit. Other than Pedro Neto and Enzo Fernandez, they were all shit. And even Enzo Fernandez had his bad moments. Don't get me wrong. He did too. But other than those two, they were all absolutely terrible. The whole lot of them. 2 January signings made a difference for Villa. As board directors, owners have blood on their hands. Oh, yes, they do. But we can't afford anyone. We can't afford anyone because they all have expensive wages. Yeah, you're in the richest league in the world. You pay the lowest wages of the top 6, other than maybe Spurs, and you can't afford players. Maybe that is what should make you rethink your strategy. Just maybe. Just an idea. Absolute piss take. Absolute piss take. The whole bunch of them. They are sabotaging us. I don't know what their aim is. Nkunku, regardless whether he's present on the pitch or not, it's still the same feeling that we play with 1 man less. Yep, 100%. I mean, I prefer him being on the left wing because he's less annoying being a waste of a person and a waste of a player at left wing than he is up front. Sorry. Excuse me. Don't blame Jörgensen. Nah, man. Like, I appreciate being like a supportive fan and everything else. But if you can't blame the goalkeeper for that, well, then you might as well never blame anyone for anything. You know what I mean? Then it's just, unlucky. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. Joe says, no defender, no striker, no chance. Neto was superb. Yep. The rest were disappointing. Malo used to be good. What's happened to him? That's my question. What has happened to Malo Gusto? I have no idea. I have no idea. Palmer too selfish. No passing to Nkunku, man, was getting compared to like of Hazard. Well, yeah, in that moment he should have passed, but there was another moment where he passed it to Nkunku and Nkunku couldn't be bothered to run after the ball. So honestly, I totally understand not passing. I totally understand. He should have just scored. I don't think the problem is that he was too selfish, but whatever he did, like Martinez just got in his head by coming out of the goal so far. He should have just chipped it as if he couldn't have. The season was done before it started. Don't know about that, but yeah. Anyone actually expect anything else? See, Moonchild, that's very valid. If I'm honest, no. Honestly, the game went better than I expected it would, if I'm being totally honest with you. But we're again 1-0 up. We were again in the lead, and we bottle it again. And if we had gotten a draw out of this, I still wouldn't have come on here being particularly happy because the performance after minute 25 wasn't good at all. But to throw it away like that again with such a bad goalie mistake, I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it. Joe says we'll never win anything with no goalkeeper, no striker. Neto is great though. Neto is great sometimes. Neto was great today though. We might not even win the Conference League playing like this. No, we might genuinely not. Dylan Congreve says this is beyond ridiculous. We're 1-0 up and we blatantly throw it away. We drop Sanchez and we still can't win. Yep. K-Star Gaming, Lars, put me out of my misery, bro. Please, bro. How? Honestly, maybe we should just stop watching. Maybe this is, you know how there's a protest on Tuesday. Obviously, I don't live in England. I'm not in England on Tuesday, so I cannot attend the protest. Go if you want to. Show your, dissatisfaction, but make it clear what you want. Don't make it such a mess. But realistically, we should all just stop watching. That's the only thing that will do anything. If all of us, and I don't mean all of us 50 is sitting here talking. I mean, literally all of us millions and hundreds of thousands of Chelsea fans, if we all stop watching, that will do something. Anything else, we'll do fuck all. But yeah, Jay says, we have to admit we are in shambles as a club. On every level, we are fried. I'm not saying this because of the trend. I'm saying it because it's the reality. Blue co out. Yep. I agree, Jerry. I agree. Lewis says, we are a laughing stock. Blue co out. Got to go. Maresca out of his depth. We are a joke. Aston Villa, yeah, you just put the XG on there. 2.57 XG, and Chelsea had 2.25 XG, the usual underperforming XG from us. Yeah, absolutely. Should have been at least a draw. It should have been a draw. Whether that's 1-1 or 2-2, but it should have been a draw. Gusto absolutely diabolical in attack and even worse defensively. Yep, couldn't have said it better myself. The Chelsea boy tactics are on them. The problem, Maresca is a nobody. Job's too big for him. I don't know. Tactics are the problem. I really don't know, man. I really don't know. I think that's making it a bit too simple and like simplifying things too much. It's got nothing to do with Maresca that Jörgensen can't catch the ball. It's got nothing to do with with Maresca that Gusto cannot comprehend far post defending. It's got nothing to do with Maresca that Palmer all of a sudden can't score a 1v1. Now, even if he makes it 2-1 in that moment, do we necessarily win the game? Maybe, maybe not. But we would have at least gone 2-1 up at that point. And that has zero to do with Maresca. I don't think the tactics were in principle that bad today, obviously. Like, he at least tried something different, so I appreciate that. And we are very limited right now. We barely have centre-backs. We don't have a striker. We barely have any wingers. We barely have any players in the team. Like, Reece James played 90 minutes in midfield today. That is wild. And he was average, extremely average. Like, there was no strength. There was no pace. There was no creativity. There was no goal threat. There was no nothing. There was no absolutely nothing. EHS says the whole thing's a mess. Conflicting messages and press conferences. No intensity on the pitch. No clue with regards to squad planning. The list goes on. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, bro. Like Maresca yesterday, all of a sudden he's talking about how he's always said top 4 is his target and how he held a meeting at Cobham with the whole staff telling the players, well, there's people in the kitchen working at 7 a.m. preparing your breakfast to help you, to help us, achieve our target of top 4. Don't know why he didn't say that last week or the week before or the week before. So to me, it's a whole load of waffle. I'm not buying a single second of it. But the whole thing's a shit show. Like, I'm not going to sit here too much and, harp on about Maresca because it's pointless. It's absolutely pointless. Maresca would have never been hired by proper ownership. Maresca would have never been hired by a proper sporting directorship. Maresca wasn't even this sporting directorship's first choice. I mean, that tells you really everything you know. I can't have a go at the manager. Like, it's in his second season. What am I expecting? What am I expecting? Realistically, what am I expecting? Imagine Jose Mourinho turning up at Chelsea after one season at Benfica. Do you know what I mean? And yes, he was at Benfica before he was at Porto. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't have been the same either. Obviously, times are different, and he was assistant to Pep Guardiola. But what does that tell you? Maybe we should just do what like a Real Madrid do. You know, just play counter-attacking football, just buy some star players and just let them do their thing. Won't win you the league, might win you a few cups. I guess that's what we was under Thomas Tuchel, really. Lucas says, oh, we got a super chat I hadn't even seen. I'll get to that in just a second. Can't blame Maresca. He set the team up well. Players bottled it. I'm not sure about well, but well enough anyway. Can Neto be our Jota? Excuse my cough, please. Can Neto be our Jota to Liverpool? No. Like, yeah, he was good today and he worked his socks off and he got a great assist, but he also had 2 or 3 chances where he should have done better, if I'm being honest. There was that volley that he had in the second half. There was the shot he dragged wide. There was a few, like, he did good, and considering he's in the strike, he did much better than Nkunku ever did. He did much better than anybody else would have done in that position. So, well done. He's done a good job. But let's not go overboard either. We're not winning the Conference League. We genuinely might not. By the way, obviously, I didn't do a stream for it because it was like a 1-game draw, essentially. But yeah, Chelsea got drawn against Copenhagen in the round of 16 of the Conference League. And we missed out on the somewhat tougher side of the draw, I guess. So, I guess positives. But we have to super chat. I fancied him of many topics. He said, I'm on loan at Bayern Munich. I mean, I despise Bayern Munich, only second to Spurs. So I'm not buzzing for you for that. Also, can't even beat Celtic, so that's pretty embarrassing. I reckon Chelsea could at least beat Celtic. Who am I kidding? No chance he could beat Celtic, man. Absolutely no chance. Luis says Maresca is a puppet for these owners. Yeah, maybe. Maresca saying in his press conference about Obi-Wan top 4 was just instructed by the owners after we criticised them of not having him having a name this season. Yeah, I completely agree. I'm not even sure if it's necessarily instructed from the owners, but it's like Maresca got wind. Oh, the fans are really not happy with what I'm saying in the media. Maybe let me say something different. That's all it is. Now watch Palmer fuck off next season and Chelsea tank like United. Yeah, that's not how it works because he's got still a 7-year contract. So that man ain't going anywhere. And also, Cole Palmer is the last one who has a right to be demanding to go anywhere right now because he was an absolute ghost today. I've never seen Cole Palmer be so invisible as today. Like, we've had bad games where he hasn't been able to get involved, but even early on when we actually played well the first 20 minutes, even then he was completely invisible. I've never seen it of Cole Palmer. Never seen it. And he falls over when trying to have a 1v1. Shocking. Good managers get the best out of their players. Is making them all worse. I mean, so what is Pep doing then? I mean, is Pep now not a good player because he's a good manager because he's not getting the best out of his players? I don't know, man. It's not that simple. Matt says, hello, mate. Hope you're good, bro. Well, I'm not, but thanks for asking. For a minute, I thought we were actually going to get the dub in the first half. So baffled how we lost that, though. Are you baffled? Like, I was surprised by how good we were in the first 20 minutes. I agree with that. Not baffled that we lost. Absolutely not. Why didn't we just play Reece on the right and Enzo with Enzo? Caicedo with Enzo, I assume. What's this obsession with playing Enzo so high when he's so slow and leaves us wide open? No. But people need to stop this idea that Enzo Fernandez leaves us wide open. Enzo Fernandez is not supposed to be in midfield. He is not the guy leaving us wide open. Yes, because he's Enzo Fernandez and you think of him as a midfielder, you think of him as when he's high up the pitch, oh, he should have been there. But no, he shouldn't have. He was our only goal threat. I don't know what you're talking about. He was literally our only goal threat. He scored the only goal we had. He got closest to scoring outside of it, other than that Palmer deflected shot. He had that header where he should have done a bit better with that as well. He was our biggest goal threat. And Reece just can't do the running, bro. That's why. Reece cannot do the running. Honestly, I'm baffled that he even managed to play 90 minutes. Probably injured again for next week. We score a goal, then forget how to play football. And 1-1, we was trying to waste time. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Like, it's unbelievable. We were trying to waste time the whole first half. I saw Enzo Fernandez on the floor. Looks all right. All of a sudden, he starts holding the back of his head, slows things down. Gusto does the same in the second half. I just don't understand. Like, what are we? Who are we? This is not Chelsea Football Club. This is not Chelsea Football Club. Guys, we should be happy. Maresca is preparing Chelsea for the next title year. The championship title, that is. All right, calm down. We're not Man United, mate. We're not Man United. Everyone on here, on the live, who lives in the UK, go to the protest. Yep, I agree. Absolutely. Our players really play like they have only 2 training sessions with each other. Literally. I want Sanchez back in after this. I don't. Play Bettinelli. Sign John Terry as a goalkeeper. I don't care. But do not play either of them anymore. I just can't anymore. These performances are so boring. Yeah, that's the next thing, isn't it? Like, it's so hard to watch. It's so hard to support. And again, the first 20-25 minutes today were good. Like, the time flew. I couldn't believe it when I looked at the top of the screen. I was like, what, 20 minutes have gone already? It's unbelievable. Where's that come from? But the rest of the game, you could barely watch it. I mean, the ref started ruining it as well, started giving every touch as a foul. And then he didn't give certain touches as fouls. It was about ridiculous, but Oh, man. I mean, we'll get into it, the stats, and then the player ratings in a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. That would be massively appreciated. Karan said, read somewhere that all the sanctions on Roman have been lifted. Roman has to come back and save Chelsea again. Well, first of all, that was only reported by the Jerusalem Times, or whatever they're called. I don't know why my profile picture is different. Let me change that. Yeah, it was posted by some Jerusalem newspaper, and well, if you're paying any attention to the world, you can usually not really pay any attention to what the Israelis have to say. So, and no one else has reported this, so I very much doubt the truthfulness of it. And also, I don't think Roman Abramovich will be able to afford to buy Chelsea back, because don't forget, he didn't get to keep the money that he got for the club. He lost a lot of money throughout all of this. I'm not genuinely not sure if he could afford to buy us back anyway, but who knows? Grant Higgins says, I'm about to buy a Mike Pendas kit from Genk or what? Because I don't know, man. It's going to be a long time till he plays for Chelsea. It's going to be a long, old time. Let's get into looking at these stats, guys. Someone highlighted it earlier already. Why? Honestly, maybe I need to find a different platform to stream via the StreamYard, because every time I try to switch the screens I'm trying to show you, it doesn't work, pissing me right off. Any which way. I mean, in the end, even less possession, even though we certainly dominated possession in the first half. When you look at, well, I say dominated, we're at 52% possession, fair enough. But they dominated in the second half, as you can tell. Surprised that overall it's so even if the second half was the way it was. But there you go. They had higher XG, even though we had more shots on target. We had less big chances, only by one, though. We had less passes because of less possession, but ever so slightly more accuracy. They had one less foul than us, but still a lot of fouls in this game. Again, mostly done by the ref, because he just, just out-whistled the game. He just gave everything as a foul, really. It was just a bit frustrating. But yeah, there you go. I mean, we won a lot of the things, but we just didn't get the ball in the goal again because we bottle it. We absolutely love bottling it. And yeah, I need to get to the goalkeeper. I mean, we can... Jörgensen, man. Jörgensen. How bad of a goal do you want to fucking concede? And the thing is, he actually had a good game until then. He made 2 or 3 really good saves. One against Watkins, one against Rodgers, one against Asensio, I think. Fantastic saves. Against Rashford as well. Really good saves. But then he's literally slipped through him. This has happened to many goalkeepers, but it doesn't happen to Chelsea goalkeepers usually, man. It doesn't happen to Chelsea goalkeepers usually. Laurenz, did you see what Hamas did to those children? Of course, you can trust Israel. Oh, I'm not getting into that with you, Joel. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Let's not talk about what Hamas did, shall we? Clear Lake out. Yeah, Clear Lake out. If we don't beat Southampton at home on Tuesday night, Maresca will definitely be gone, in my opinion. Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think these owners and sporting directors have the bottle to sack a manager mid-season again. What are they going to do? Frank Lampard has a job right now. They can't get him in. Graham Potter has a job as well. What are they going to do until the end of the season? Absolutely nothing. There are Russian owners across Europe still. Surely Roman can appeal. There has to be a way. He has been cheated out of being owner. I'm not sure if there's Russian owners in other clubs. I'm not sure. I don't think Roman wasn't sanctioned purely for being Russian. Roman was sanctioned for financial ties to Vladimir Putin. Now, whether that was justified or not, that might be a different story. I don't know. But it's not just for being Russian anyway. And like I say, even if he did appeal and even if the sanctions were unlawful or whatever, the sale of the football club, yes, was forced upon him, but was still done as a separate thing. Even if that sanction happened, do you think Roman, the UK government, gives the money back to Bowley and Igbali, who took out loans since then and spent extra money on top of buying the club, and they just have to... Unlucky. You don't have that money anyway. It's unfortunate. No, it works. Chelsea snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Yeah, exactly. What does the future hold for us? So much money spent. I can't see any improvement. I can't see anyone wanting to take up the reins at our club. Same. That's it, isn't it? We've spent so much money that I don't see a way out of it anymore, because we are in a position where we can't afford high wages because we spend so much money. Yes, we can sell players, but very few of the players we have signed have increased in values. And we need to sign so many better and different players that we can't afford to buy all of them. So it will be a 4 or 5 window process from here on out. And that requires getting a sponsor that pays good money. That requires European football, which who knows will that happen? It's shocking. Leicester fans warned us. Maresca is not good. Our standards are in the mud. He has had one full season. He's a nobody. I'll stick by that. He's out of his depth. Yeah, Max, it's not even that you're wrong or right. That's not even the point, but it's way bigger than that. It's way bigger than that because we said the same for Podge, but that he's out of his depth and that he's not good enough. We said the same for Pot, that he's out of his depth and he's not good enough. Yeah, of course, none of them are realistically good enough. Do you know what I mean? Of course they're not. And I keep saying this. On the other owners, on the other sport directors, a manager like Maresca would have never been hired. But for who he is, he's not doing the worst job in the world. But I'm really annoyed by the things he says in the media. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, I can't react to every single message that I see in the chat because we need to get through this eventually. Either use the super chat function, of course, if you want to make sure that I speak about your message. Of course, you can become a member at the channel. That gives you a little icon next to your name that makes sure that I see and read out your message as well. There's a link down in the description if you want to become a member, or a join button underneath if you're watching on desktop. But yeah, as for Filip Jörgensen, a couple of good saves, but an absolute howler at the end. If I take it over to the lineup sheets, there was a little bit of debate about how we lined up today. Now, I saw it as this, essentially the same shape we always play, but with players in different positions. That's how I saw it. Other people saw it a bit differently. Other people saw almost a bit of a... Honestly, I'm not sure what other people saw. Did they see a 4-3-3 with one overlapping fullback and one staying deep? Did they see a 3-3-4? For me, it was this. Again, you can disagree. They're slightly different. I mean, we can get SofaScore up and look at the average positions. I looked at it at halftime. I'm not sure if it will have changed since, but at least that's how I took it. Again, you can have your own opinion if you think the lineup was a bit different than that. At the end of the day, that's not the biggest be-all and end-all factor. Let me just see. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I'll show you this quickly. Look at SofaScore here. Hopefully, it lets me actually change the screen as it should. Yes, it does. So there you can see, obviously, Chalobah came off very early, but was replaced by Tosin very early. But essentially, that was the shape. Yeah. Honestly, a little bit later at half, because if I do the subs, Sancho kind of ruins the whole thing a little bit. This is why it now looks weird. That's why I'm doing it without the subs. Yeah. See it as you will. I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure how I'm supposed to line it up. I'm going to do it like this. You know what? Maybe I'll actually shift it around and shift it into... Maybe we'll shift it into a 3-4-3. But how can I shift into a 4-3-3? I mean, maybe like that. Maybe like that. And then Gusto was overlapping and whatever. I guess like that is probably closest to the reality. Maybe in terms of mix of on the ball and off the ball. Anyway, Filip Jörgensen, you had a stinker. You made a couple of good saves, which saves you from having a terrible rating, but you cost us a point. You cost us a point with an absolutely embarrassing mistake. You're getting a 4. You're getting a 4, and you're lucky that you're getting a 4. Let's get to the 2 centre-backs. Well, the 3 centre-backs, shall I say. Obviously, we started with Trevor Chalobah, but he only lasted a whole 8 minutes before he had to be subbed off. He played a whole 2 passes, had 1 accurate long ball, 0 tackles. I don't really know even how he got injured. Was it his kidney that got hurt? Was it a muscle in the back? I don't really know. But anyway, another centre-back injury. Fantastic, which is obviously brilliant. Tosin, though, so obviously Chalobah gets an NA. Tosin, I mean, there was one moment in the first half where he tried to clear the ball in defending, and he had time. And he just passed it straight to a Villa player at the edge of our box. Otherwise, he was okay, though. You know, passing's decent, 85%, I suppose. Accurate long balls, though, is not great. No tackles, no ground duels, sort of aerial duels, at least. I mean, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. Levi Colwill was similar. Not as many kind of out of his depth and you know, kind of game too quick for him. Like, there was a couple of moments as well where Tosin tried to clear the ball and he kind of didn't even hit it, just because he mistimed it so badly. I mean, Colwill's passing accuracy was at least better. He didn't make a huge mistake today like he did against Brighton, like he did against West Ham, but he still wasn't good. He still wasn't good. 1 out of 3 ground duels, isn't it? 2 out of 2 aerial duels, sure. I get these what are they called? I get the centre-back ratings done fairly quickly. Trevor Chalobah, NA. That's quick. Tosin, 5. Colwell, 5. Could I give Tosin a 4.5? Maybe. I don't know, man. Someone thought Enzo was better than Poch. Honestly, it doesn't really make a difference. Do I think Maresca is better than Poch? As a complete manager, no. Do I think his tactical idea and do I think the way his tactical mindset to the game is better? Yes, I do think so. But obviously, he's a 20 years less experienced manager. It would be kind of crazy if he wasn't remotely better. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. What? Sorry, did someone say 3 lost us the game? Are you saying Cucurella lost us the game? Are you mental? What? I'm confused by that. I'm really baffled by that. 8 points from the last 9 league matches and out of the FA Cup with the whimper. Yep, we've been absolutely fantastic, haven't we? And honestly, you could go a little bit further back and, you know, it would go even worse. Oh, 3. There you go. Fair. I mean, yeah, you can give him a 3 as well. You know, I'll give him a 3.5. Meet it in the middle just because he did cost us the points. But honestly, I wouldn't have been happy with a point either. Like in our situation, we need 3 points, not 1 point. But yeah, I probably thought Koba was a little better than Tosin, if I'm honest. So I'm going to give Tosin a 4.5. But there really wasn't a lot in it. As for Marco Correa, I'll switch to him quickly. Again, guys, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. It would be massively appreciated. Cucurella was all right. Good passing accuracy. Only misplaced 3 passes. Tried to get involved. 2 out of 4 long balls, decent. 1 out of 2 tackles, not awful at least. 3 out of 5 ground duel is good. Yeah. Only dribble passed twice, but could still be a bit better, if I'm being honest. There was a couple of crosses that could be a bit better. I'd probably give Cucurella an average 6. Oh, the thing didn't work again. Brilliant. I looked at his stats, but it didn't work. So maybe we'll just have to stay on here. Yeah, I'll give him a 6, like someone in the chat said. Like JP said, wasn't bad. Give him a 6. But now we get to Malo Gusto. And my God, what a howler and what a stinker this man had. I cannot quite even believe it. I absolutely cannot quite even believe it, how bad this guy has gotten. And, you know, there were so many times this season when people have blamed Enzo Maresca's tactics and he can't invert and we're making Gusto invert. He's making Gusto a terrible footballer. Well, Gusto was not inverting. Gusto was overlapping. And to be honest, his running was still useful. He was sometimes the out ball, like I had it lined up earlier. Obviously, Palmer coming inside, Gusto kind of being the right winger, the out ball over the top sometimes when it wasn't to Neto. Yeah, was useful sometimes, but my God, was he terrible. He was so terrible. His touch was shocking. His defending was shocking. His attacking play was absolutely diabolical. I mean, wow. Absolutely terrible. Made an error that led to a goal. Yes, exactly. I mean, he had that shot, which at least came on target. Honestly, I'm surprised that he supposedly only misplaced 4 passes. It felt like 15 at least. But yeah, no successful dribbles, no successful crosses. 4 out of 4 long balls. Again, I'm surprised by, but there you go. 2 out of 4 tackles, 5 out of 10 ground duels. Again, it's been worse for him. It absolutely has been worse for him. Supposedly, only dribble passed twice. Does it say anywhere how often he lost possession? That's usually only on SofaScore, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, obviously, like someone in the chat said, my God, Gusto was so bad. He gets a 1. I could give him something as low as a 1. Absolutely. Should I? I'm really not sure. Let me shift this around again so it doesn't look so weird. 1. I'll give him a 2, you know. I'll give him a 2. He still ran around. And, well, honestly, like I said, going into the game, I expected much worse. Even when we went 1-0 up, I was like, well, there's still a chance we lose 4-1. So compared to what I was fearing going into this game, it went a lot better. Even, of course, Aston Villa had a midweek game, a tough midweek game against Liverpool in the Premier League, which we didn't have. So from that perspective, we should have been better. You would have thought so. But we were not. And, well, what else can you do about it? What else can you do about it? Well, next get to Reece James, who wasn't an inverting midfielder today. He was just... it wasn't an inverting fullback today. He just played midfield all day. Again, make of it what you will. Why is it not loading? Stupid StreamYard. Just getting pissed off by the whole thing. I'm sorry, guys. And as you can tell, my voice is starting to fade more and more. But yeah, let me highlight Reece James. What did you do? Only to misplace 2 passes. One of them was a bad one that led to a big chance for Villa and a good save by Filip Jörgensen earlier in the game. But he honestly didn't provide much. Okay, he had 4 accurate long balls, which is nice. No accurate crosses, which is obviously disappointing. He had 1 shot on the volley after a corner that flew out to him. He dragged it very wide. How did you have no tackles? 3 out of 7 ground duels should be better. He got bossed and bullied a lot today by various players. I saw him get pushed over by McGinn. I saw him get pushed over by Ollie Watkins. I saw him get pushed over by plenty of players today. Not normal. Then again, has Reece James played midfield like that properly? Well, he did a lot of inverting when he played recently before having that injury setback. But before that, the last time he played really midfield was when he was on loan at Wigan back in what season was that? 18-19 season. So a long time ago. I'll give him a 5 as well. I genuinely don't think he was any better than Colwell, I don't think he was any better than Colwell. Really, I really don't. Maybe I could give him a 5.5 because he was out of position in a way, but I'm not gonna. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna be just nice because he's Reece James. I can't do that. All sports fan Adam says Reece James is no longer himself. There's just no pace to maraud forward anymore. Very sad to watch because he was that guy, and all Chelsea really love him. Yeah. I mean, I'm still not at a point where I rate Reece James like that at the moment because I still think the man has been because he's been injured so much and so often that I can't even really take it seriously until he manages to stay fit for a sustained period of time. Because when you're constantly injured and never in any sort of match sharpness, because he hasn't been in any match sharpness in 3 seasons, really. Like, even though Reece James has this power and this ability and this gift to come back from injury and look great, he can't always do that. He can't always do that. I had to laugh at this, Lawrence. Honestly, you watch the game or just see FOTMob ratings? Well, actually, I do watch the game. And then I look at FOTMob ratings just live with you guys. And I'm like, well, did that support what I saw? Did it not? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. It kind of depends on some positions. On some positions, you can tell a bit more by the stats. On some, you can tell a bit less. Don't understand how you watch games. Honestly, are you a computer? I wish I was. Because I would be a lot less emotionally invested into the shit show that these lot pull off and the depression that these guys cause me on a weekly basis. So, yeah, that's all I can really say on that. Yeah, I'll give Reece a 5. I'm not going to, spend too much time on it. Caicedo was a tricky one today. Because Caicedo I don't like him though, bro. I don't like him. I did one watch along in my life, and it was I picked the most boring game in the world. Thomas Tuchel's first game with Chelsea. 0-0 against Wolves, and that just put me off it. That just put him off it. No, I don't. I have something in mind already. Maybe I don't elaborate enough sometimes, but yeah, sometimes I'm more going purely off what I see, and then FOTMob ratings don't really tell me enough to really change what I saw. But as for Caicedo, it was an interesting one because the referee, like I touched on earlier, kind of ruined the game by giving fouls for everything. And when he started doing that, not in the first minute, but like half an hour in, maybe 15 minutes in. And I felt like Caicedo was, first of all, a bit annoyed by the ref that he gave certain fouls against him. And then Caicedo, I felt like, was just started to play almost by the line of the ref. And every time he got even the smallest of touches, he went down. And I think other than once, he always got the free kick, which is nice. So it wasn't bad, but it still kind of frustrated me that he fell down so often. But obviously, that outrageously good pass to to Cole Palmer in the second half, which should have been 2-1 at the time for us. No, absolutely not, bro. Absolutely not. The last thing I am is a Blueco fan. But Varner, why don't you get more active in the chat rather than questioning how I watch or rate the players? Why don't you tell me your rating for the players? Because I've not seen you put your rating in. So please elaborate what rating you would give each of those individuals that I've spoken about yet. Because I'm data driven. Yeah, there you go. Well, that's something to talk about, isn't it? But yeah, Caicedo, obviously that pass to Palmer was fantastic. He sprayed a few nice passes. Honestly, in the beginning of the game was one of our best players. Decent passing accuracy. I'm not going to complain about it too much. 6 out of 9 long balls is good. 0 out of 3 tackles is surprising and disappointing. 5 out of 10 ground duels is also, well, honestly, for Caicedo, it's kind of the average. He often has below 50%. It's difficult, especially in games like this when the ref gives so many kind of 50-50 tackles or not even 50-50 tackles. But like, it's just tackles and or challenges, and he just gives them as fouls. So it's like, well, yeah, you see the ground duel rate here, but if some of them were given as fouls when they weren't fouls, is it fair to like judge them down on a statistic like this? Probably not, right? Probably not. But I'm glad, Justov, have come to my defense here. Varna, a fraud. I watched the game. Yeah, well, please tell me what rating you would give these players. I would love to know. You don't use FOTMob. That's okay. Don't use FOTMob then. But as you can maybe tell, we're doing a live stream here, and we're looking at the game we try to look at the game from various perspectives. From my perspective, some people, it's your perspective. Sometimes we have guests on and we share their perspectives, and sometimes we are a bit unfair, and sometimes stats keep us grounded a little bit. But yeah, there you go. Thank you. Jörgensen 0. Fair enough. All right. So you just watched the game and you gave a player minus 500. Okay, I hear it. Yeah, FOTMob will not give you a minus 500 rating. That's true. 6. James didn't even play right back, so I don't know why you mentioned him there, but there you go. Tosin 6. All right. Tosin was good, but Cole was the worst player in history. Fair enough. Gusto 6. Okay, I'm closing that. You gave Gusto a 6? Bro, seek help. Please, seek help. All Sports Fan says, Caicedo went about his work, okay? Excuse me again for the cough, guys. Just a 5 or a 6, though. He was workman-like, but a great through ball to Palmer, though. Yeah, I'd probably give Caicedo probably a 6. But honestly, I feel like a 5 and a 6 for our midfield today almost feels a tad nice. So I'll give... Excuse me again. I give him a 5.5. I'll give him a 5.5. Maybe I could push a 6, but I just wasn't happy. You thought Gusto was worse than Cole tonight. Oh, yes, I did. Gusto was by far the worst player. Like, by so far the worst player. It's an outrage. Could I have given Colwell a 4 or a 4.5 instead of a 5? Sure. Absolutely. But I thought Tosin was worse. I thought Tosin was worse. Tosin looked more rattled. Tosin made more mistakes. Tosin was more out of position. But yeah, there you go. But yeah, you gave Gusto a 6, so I couldn't even read the other ratings after that. But then you gave anyone a 9, which is also absolutely wild for a game like this. But yeah, we get to Enzo Fernandez, who was, in my opinion, our second best player today. He had a good game with a few moments where I wish he was a little better. He gave the ball away on one occasion that led to a big chance for Villa not long before they made it 2-1. That was a bit unfortunate. He got booked a little bit unnecessarily as well. But overall, he was our biggest goal threat. He was one of our best players. He scored the goal that we did get. So he did a good job. I'd probably go along with JP and give him a 7. I think he's one of the only ones that deserves an above average rating. I've not given anybody else an above average rating. I've only given Cucurella the average rating. But yeah, Enzo did good. Can't complain too much with him. Like I say, he scored that goal, nearly scored that curler as well. That would have been nice. 7 misplaced passes, could be a bit better. But there you go. Overall, I thought he had a good game. I genuinely thought he had a good game. And I also actually, bloody hell, I just saw 4 out of 14 ground duels. Isn't great, though. But I want to actually show you a clip of Enzo Fernandez today, because I think this clip kind of sums up a lot of what we saw today. Let me go to the beginning here. Like, look at how frustrating and gutted he is, and how he, like, the next, you see it in a second now, how he does this, like, apologetic motion to the away fans. It doesn't help. Doesn't get us any extra points. It absolutely doesn't. But it's still, he seems like one of the only ones. And also after he scored, he was like, fighting the team on, and, cheering the team up, and, beating them up and trying to get something out of it. But yeah, so I like this. Obviously, again, it doesn't help us really, but yeah, it was better than nothing. Do you really watch the game, or you just ate it? Mana, I'm going to put you on a timeout now. Don't say the same thing every time. I've responded to that already. It's not going to get any funnier. 5 defenders against Villa. Just wow. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? How some people, like JC now, almost complain about how defensively we approach the game with so many defenders in the starting 11. Excuse me. And then there is other people who were actually happy about this. Like, when the lineup came out, a lot of us thought that then we were playing a back 5 or a back 3 potentially, and we had, either Gusto or Reece James as the right wing back, or there was like a Sky or wherever people the game was broadcasted in the UK, they put Reece James in the starting lineup before the game. They put him as the right winger, which is kind of crazy. So I wouldn't see it as fully 5 defenders like that, because yes, they were nominal defenders, but they weren't in the positions of defenders, and that's how the manager approaches these types of games. I guess he does show more fight than others. He needs to improve his fitness. I'm not really sure if fitness is the issue. If I'm being honest, I think Enzo does a lot of running, more running than most, if I'm being honest. And he tries to sprint back, even when he's not the guy supposed to be doing that. All Sports fan would have given Jörgensen a 2, Gusto a 3. Even that, I think, is nice, but there you go. Cobalt 5, 2005, Correa 5, fair enough. Caicedo 5, 5.5, James 5, Enzo 7, Palmer 4. Neto 8, Nkunku 4. I would give Nkunku less, but otherwise I can kind of hear that. Maresca needs to sort the defense out. When was our last clean sheet, mate? I don't know. I saw the commentator said at the beginning of the game that we've had 2 clean sheets in our last 20 Premier League games. I mean, that's shocking. 2 clean sheets in 20. Bloody hell. We are so bad. Aren't we so bad? Like, it makes me so sad. Like, on a serious note, it makes me so terribly sad. Man, he got the goal, but not a fan of Enzo. Doesn't help the team much. I disagree on that today. I disagree. I'm fine if it's a back 3 type formation, but putting RJ and Gusto in at the same time while using a back 4 is just criminal. I mean, if the reason for me why the manager did this is because we lacked physicality a lot recently, and putting Reece James in the midfield in theory should have helped adding some physicality, and I think to an extent it did help and did work, that part of it. Obviously we don't have strikers available at the moment. When you play Nkunku, you have a wasted player. When you play Sancho, well, against Brighton you had a wasted player, and today you also had a wasted player when you bring him off the bench. Palmer, and the way Palmer played today, I really don't think having a defender too much on the pitch today, especially with the lack of attacking options that we have, was the decisive factor today. But yeah, let's go to Cole Palmer next. I touched on it earlier. I can never remember. Oh yeah, true. Actually, that's a fair point. He did play that equalizer onside. Now, honestly, I only saw the still frame of that he played them onside. I didn't really pay enough attention to the far side of the pitch. If he had like a valid reason to have dropped like that, and did he follow someone's run or whatever? I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, he was the guy that played him onside. But I still can't put the blame. I know we played him onside, but I still can't put the blame on anybody else but Malo Gusto, who just lost Rashford behind it. Like, it's got Gusto's man. They constantly played these far post crosses. Come on, man. Like, you need to just be a little bit switched on. Like, yeah, someone played him onside, but that happens. You can't always just expect people to be onside, but you can expect the far post cross to come, and you need to just stick with your man. Real commitment and dedication to watching Nkunku and Gusto play for Chelsea. It does at the moment. The second half of the game was lost as Emery shuffled his pack. The game totally changed when Maresca just did nothing. See, I disagree that it was the second half thing. Because for me, it switched after 25 minutes or so. And then the first 5 minutes of the second half was still okay. But yeah, there you go. Cole Palmer, like I said earlier, I've not seen him be this invisible in a game where we were okay until, at least certain parts, ever. Like, especially in the first half when we were still decent and we were good in the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I've never seen him be so involved so little. I mean, just to compare it, Enzo Fernandez, by the way, had, I'm looking for it, 59 touches. 59. Cole Palmer had 44. Now, it doesn't sound that dramatic. And to be honest, maybe it felt more like he was invisible than it truly was. But I just didn't see him. Obviously, he nearly scored, had that deflected shot, had that one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but he should have just done so much better on that. Again, didn't give the ball away much. Shooting, who cares about that? 2 out of 3 dribbles is all right, I suppose. The dual stats is nice. But he was just so incredibly invisible today, and it just really, really frustrated me. Like, get on the ball, mate. And when he got on the ball, like, there was 2-3 moments where he did something, but most of the time, just shifted back and passed it to Reece James, and that's it. And it was just really, it's just really frustrating. I will give him a 4. I will give him a 4. I'll give, I'll give Cole Palmer a 3 because that one-on-one must be a goal. Like, the goalkeeper was so far out of his goal that Emi Martinez wasn't even in his box anymore, which means the chip is so piss easy to chip the goalkeeper if he's not in the box, because if he touched the ball, he would get sent off with his hand, obviously. If he touched the ball with his hand and like grabs up as he's getting chipped, he'd be sent off. But I just think Emi Martinez got in Palmer's head by steaming out the way he did and coming so far out. I don't think Palmer expected it, because he sat Emi Martinez down and then kind of Palmer slipped and then he got up again and tried to shoot instantly and they cleared it. It was poor, man. It was really poor. And then also just the fact that he didn't get himself involved more. It's just really, really disappointing. Just really, really disappointing. You know what? I agree that I gave that Jörgensen, giving him a 4 was too high. And even a 3.5 was too high. I lower it to a 3. But I still think he made some other good saves. You know, sure, he cost us in the end, so you can argue his saves before that didn't really matter. Absolutely. But, you know, without his saves, we would either just be losing earlier or be losing higher. So I still have to give some value to it. I can't just pretend it didn't happen. And I'll find Nkunku a special place between Malo Gusto and Cole Palmer today and give him a 2.5. I don't think he even warrants a 3. I don't think he was as bad as Gusto, hence why I'm not giving him a 2. But we've discussed this so many times, guys. He's such a waste of a player. He doesn't want to be here. He can't be bothered. He doesn't run. Palmer passed him the ball once. Some people in the chat earlier. Honestly, just off, I could give Nkunku and Palmer a ghost emoji. Just that Palmer had that miss at the end. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I almost think if I give him a ghost emoji in this case, it's almost like letting him get away with it. But maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe I should just give him the ghost if it lets me do it. A ghost it is. A ghost it shall be for Nkunku. Yeah, it just can't be bothered. Like what I was gonna say a second ago was Palmer. Like people saying Palmer shouldn't have been selfish, should have squared it to Nkunku in that moment where he was through with the goalkeeper. But 2 reasons. Number one, earlier, not long before, he passed it to Nkunku, and Nkunku was too lazy to even follow the run, to even run after the ball. And Palmer is so good in front of goal that I understand why he would, in that situation, back himself and decide I'll go myself rather than, you know, passing it to anybody. But yeah, I can't believe Nkunku is getting picked anymore, Reed. I like the fact that Tyreek George didn't even come on today is an absolute disgrace. Like, he was the only one that tried when he came on against Brighton. And yes, it was at 3-0 down. It didn't matter. Or was it 2-0 down at the time? I can't even remember that game, mate. But to not give him any minutes today and to watch Gusto have that shit show and to not bring Josh Hutchinson on is an absolute disgrace. You started him in 2 back-to-back Premier League games, out of position as centre-back, where he's not played before consistently, where he's not played before. You play him there twice. He does good in the first game, has a bit of struggles in the second game, and then hasn't seen the light of day since. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. H says Palmer has genuinely become our worst player. Well, I'm not sure about worst player, but there you go. It's been so shit he deserves to get dropped along with Nkunku. Yeah, but who are you dropping them for? We don't have other players. Like, you can say Tyreek George and stuff, but we don't even have the players to drop both. Because do you want to put Sancho back in? Because he sure as hell doesn't deserve to be in the team either. That's the problem at the moment. Palmer would have buried at least 2 of those chances early in the season. He didn't have good body language. Something isn't right. Well, yeah, bad form does that to players. You know what I mean? His expectations to himself are higher this season than last season. Last season, he was just playing like no one cares. It's also the pressure at the club. You know, last season, after the whole takeover, after how bad it went on a Graham Potter, after finishing 12th in that season, almost anything would have been an improvement last season, and almost anything would have been okay last season. Obviously, Obama was absolutely phenomenal, but the pressure has just changed dramatically. But yeah, Nkunku is just a waste of a player. He needs to not play. I wouldn't have played Sancho either. I would have played Tyreek George. I would have done. And I don't think it would have gone any worse. I mean, he had that one shot which forced an okay save, but a fairly straightforward save by Emi Martinez, and he, you know, created one decent opportunity for others. But in the grand scheme of things, the way he just doesn't run, the way when he got that over the top ball and he chested it first and then nearly put it out of play and then headed it back in and then he headed it straight into the path of Matty Cash and just wasn't anywhere near the ball anymore. It's just vile how bad he is. But yeah, let me get to the one player who actually impressed me today, who I actually have a serious amount of positive things to say about and not really much negative things to say about. Pedro Neto, you did a job today. You did an absolute job today. And I think for the foreseeable future, until Nicholas Jackson returns from injury, or Guiu, whoever returns first, but it seems like it's going to be Nicholas Jackson first after the international break. It's coming up at the end of March. I think Pedro Neto should probably remain our striker. But then again, I say that maybe that only worked today because Villa play a high line. If we play a team that plays a low block again, maybe you wouldn't want Neto there. But then we kind of have the issue where we don't want any of our players there, really. So the issue doesn't really fully get solved. But in a game like today, Neto finally moved how a player must move. As a false nine, if you want to call it that. Obviously, Villa playing with Ian Martin as the left back who pushed up a lot. And when that happened, Palmer and Gusto dropped deep to in helping to defend. And then Neto did this kind of run very often. He started there, dropped deep over here, and then ran over here and used that space that Martin, vacated by pushing up the pitch. And that gave Neto a lot of space. That gave Neto a lot of freedom. He also took the piss out of Ian Martin for the assist early on. He played a good game. I'm going to give him an 8. Truthfully, I kind of want to say more for 7.5, but because he played a striker, and while he's played a striker before at Wolves, he was part of front twos, and it was in counter-attacking teams, not the way we play. So this was certainly very new for him, and I think for that he did a great job. He was fighting, he was trying to do something, but the finishing was still letting him down. Realistically, he had that shot that he dragged wide from the right. He had that attempted volley that was just embarrassing. But he was still our best player by distance, if I'm being honest. And yeah, Pedro Neto, you did a good job. And we only made one other sub, which was Jadon Sancho coming on for Christopher Nkunku. And frankly, I'll give him a ghost as well, because honestly, I didn't notice him do a single thing when he came on the pitch. As for Neto, by the way, looking at his stats, only 2 misplaced passes, 2 out of 3 shots. Didn't have a successful dribble, interestingly enough. Had a successful cross as well, though. Ground was not amazing either. But he did his job. He did his job and he got stuck in. Sancho had 4 passes in the time that he was on the pitch, which is 14 minutes plus stoppage time. 7 touches. I mean, try to be involved less, mate. Try to be involved any less if you can. And I bet you he couldn't. I bet you he couldn't. Let me see if anything particularly interesting has been posted or said since the game, because it hasn't been very important. I'll open this in a second and we'll look at this. Okay, the toughest defeat of the season. I mean, I'll just show you the quotes and we'll make our minds up together, shall we, guys? It's tough to read. It's tough to read. First, he said we didn't deserve to lose. They gave everything. I mean, they did, to be fair. We did give everything today. We just have a very limited squad right now. A very limited squad. And we played a good team that actually made some business in January, and that's what won them the game. Marcus Rashford, Marco Asensio, those are the 2 players that won them the game. And we didn't do that. Had we made a couple of decent signings in January, we might have won this game. Did we deserve to lose? Maybe, just about not. But I think we only deserve the draw. I think we absolutely did not deserve to win by any means. Simon Johnson saying Maresca says this is the toughest defeat of the season. Disagree. Remember last week, mate. Remember last week. On Cole, he said, we are happy with Cole. We're sure he's going to be very happy at Chelsea, and we are going to be very happy with him. We can't rely on Cole for every game. No, we can't. And at the moment, we can't rely on him for any game. Jörgensen start on Tuesday? I don't know. I'm honestly not sure who I would start either. Maybe Sanchez with the bald cut. I'm not sure if you saw, but Sanchez shaved his hair off. Maybe now Sanchez is the guy to go for. Not really, but anyway. But I want to highlight this. Since data seems to be important about squad building in this, football club, Chelsea have dropped 13 points from winning positions in the last 9 matches, more than any other Premier League team. Only Southampton have made more errors leading to shots and goals than Chelsea this season. And this is it. This is what you get. This is what you get for only buying young players. And for only buying young players and thinking it's going to be all right. It was already bad last season. Yes, a lot of the players that we had last season, well, not a lot, all of them were a year younger last year than they are this year. Absolutely. But there was still spread around. You had Thiago Silva in the squad. Big difference. Huge difference. And as much as I don't like him, you still had Raheem Sterling, who, yes, doesn't help and isn't a useful player in the squad for body language or this, but takes the brunt of the criticism. And now more of the other players are susceptible to all that criticism, which they probably deal with a lot less well than someone like Raheem Sterling, who's been having to deal with that all his life, all his career. On top of that, you also have Ben Chilwell. I know he was obviously here until a couple of weeks ago as well, until the end of the January transfer window, but he wasn't really involved. And I think having Ben Chilwell around is also another factor for the kind of keeping the standards up, keeping the level up to an extent, right? it's not going to get better. And sure, next season, these guys are going to be another year older, but they're going to be another year older where they haven't learned from anybody. Where they've learned from a manager who's in his second managerial season, where they've learned from teammates who are equally as inexperienced as they are. And, I feel bad for a lot of these players. I feel bad for Enzo Fernandez. I feel bad for Moises Caicedo. I feel bad for Cole Palmer. I feel bad for a lot of these players because we're not doing them justice. We are not doing them any justice. But yeah, I'll put Maresca's rating below Neto. Now, the lineup, I like that he tried something different. Reece James starting midfield, Neto up front, Palmer starting out wide, Gusto overlapping. He did different things. He said in the past before he doesn't like overlapping fullback so much. He doesn't see Palmer as a winger. He sees him more as a central player. He kind of managed to find a bit of a mix for those people that always said, just play Palmer out wide. That would help. That would make Palmer better. Did it? Did you feel like it was any better than usual? I'm just asking. So I was happy with the starting 11. I was happy with how the game started. But I was really happy with anything that happened after that. Clearly after 25 minutes, Aston Villa slightly adapted to what we did. It didn't feel like we adapted to anything Aston Villa did at halftime or throughout the game. The only other sub we made, other than the forced sub through Trevor Chalobah's injury, was the most basic one in Jadon Sancho coming on for Nkunku. The only other we brought the only two real first-team players that we had on the bench, other than Dewsbury Hall, and he doesn't count. We brought them on, but you didn't bring Tyreek George, who should have come on. You didn't bring Josh Achimpong for Malo Gusto, who had an absolute stinker. So that's poor. So that is poor. I will not give him like a super low rating because I think there was some positives that may have come out of Maresca here today. But in the grand scheme of things, it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. The ref started getting involved. Oliver needs second, absolutely. The players may be young, but still have more experience than Maresca. It's true. You're not even wrong, bro. You're not even wrong. But the problem is obviously Maresca is older as a person. So he has at least experience as a player, to a relatively high level. Obviously played for Juve, won titles there, played for Sevilla, played for a few other clubs as well. Obviously played in England as well, I think for West Brom when he was 18. And of course he was assistant to Pep Guardiola's, I think treble-winning team with Man City. Do you know what I mean? So he has experienced something. Now, not in the same role that he is in, but he has still experienced things that the players haven't experienced. But there you go. I can't even feel confident Maresca would win the Conference League. At the moment, I don't either. The reason it still makes me feel very confident that we will win the Conference League is the fact that by the time we will get to those more difficult games, even though Copenhagen, we can't underestimate that either. We can't underestimate that tie. Like Copenhagen finished second in the Champions League group last season that had Manchester United, Bayern, and some other decent team in it. This season they're only in the Conference League, so clearly they didn't have a great season last year in their Danish league. But I think they're going to be by far our most difficult opponent from now until the final if we make it there. But after the international break, we should have a lot of the players back. We should have Lavia back. We should have Jackson back, which will make a big difference. We should have Badiashile back as well. We should have Fafana back as well. So that would help. But whether we'll be able to dig ourselves out of, the misery, I'm not sure. Emery's old assistant is now manager of Paphos. We might play them in the Conference League in a semi-final. They only formed in 2014 and owned by a Russian billionaire now. Well, there you go. Let's see how that one goes. But they're a Cypriot team. So I very much doubt they're going to make the semi-final, bro. But there you go. Maresca turning into Potter that beat Arsenal today. Oh, yeah. I wish. Do we miss Misha? Yeah, I said this last week. Yes, we missed him. We miss him a lot. There's supposedly, officially, there's no update. I think the B sample has come back and it's just the same as the A sample and he's banned. And yeah, I'm sure the Court of Arbitration for Sport will probably lower the ban from 4 years to something less. But yeah, we're missing him. We're missing him as an option. We're missing him as a player that has a moment of magic, that can shoot and can shoot really hard and really well with pace and power and position. Left foot, right foot, can cross, can take a man on. We miss it a lot. It's a real shame because Misha had just hit form and had just started to be good and dangerous in the Conference League. And I know it's only the Conference League, but it was the toughest games that we had in the Conference League at the time where he started to be good. And just as I felt he was probably going to fight his way into the Premier League team, the ban happens, and it stings us a lot. They almost won the first league title, cup semi-final after winning it last season. Well, there you go. But still, they're Cypriot team, so I'm not going to go that far. It's just Neto by far best player today. Was brilliant, especially with the runs he kept making and the pressing and work rate. He deserves an 8 for playing well, even out of his position. Absolutely, him and Enzo were the best players. Yeah, I'll give Enzo higher than Neto. That's all I'm saying. Sorry, Neto higher than Enzo, of course. I like that Neto tried and always was forward, thinking I'd like him to play striker with more practice. He could be sharpshooter there. Well, that part I doubt. him being a sharpshooter, I don't really see happening. But yeah, one of the only thing I'll say is it's almost, maybe there's almost a small positive, the fact that we didn't win today. What is that? I'm baffled. That's what it was. There you go. Because imagine the protest on Tuesday had we just beat Villa today. I mean, that would have been embarrassing, wouldn't it? Who is the third keeper in the squad? We had like 7 on pre-season. Why can't we buy a decent keeper? Or Petrovic at least showed promise. Well, the third keeper in the squad is Marcus Bettinelli. So, I mean, would be funny to try. I don't think he can be any worse than the other lot, really, at the moment. But it's not going to be great either, is it, realistically? Why we can't buy a decent keeper? Yeah, I mean, I tweeted it as well. This is what you get for spending £85 million on 4 or 5 goalkeepers that are absolutely average or awful. I mean, yeah, sure, jury's still out on Mike Penders. He's doing good at Genk at the moment, playing, even though he's only 18, stuff like that. Sure, all well and good. But there's a lot of players that are good at 18 and not anymore by 22. That's all I'm saying. Marcin Bulka, the nowadays Nice goalkeeper. Obviously a PSG backup to Donnarumma for a while and Keylor Navas for a while and everything. He was in our youth. He was supposed to be, super like promising, right? Didn't work out that way. Even though he's a good goalkeeper now, and I prefer him to any of the ones we have now. But yeah, Petrovic, again, bro, I'm so lost. The reason we are so bad as a club is because we have Todd Bowley as our owner. I disagree, because Todd Bowley has actually had very little say for the last 2 and a bit years, or 2 years. And it's mostly Benek Barley and the sporting directors that make the decisions. But there you go. Trust me, if Roman was still Chelsea owner, we won't be in this process. No, I agree. I agree with that part. 100% faded. Are you against clear lake protests? No, I am not against the protests. I think the protests should be a little bit more well-directed. I think we should have a more common goal, because I feel like everybody going to the protest, or everybody thinking and talking about the protest, has different reasons why they think a protest should be happening or is happening. Like, some would just want Blue Co out as a whole, some want Clear Lake out, someone Bowley out, like, Faded said, someone just the sporting directors out, someone Maresca out, like, everybody has different reasons for what they want. And I think that's a bit pointless. Like, especially certain things I've heard, like Benek Barley is almost excited that there's going to be a protest. He thinks it's almost funny. So make of that what you will, you know what I mean? The protest isn't going to do anything. Like, I like the protest in principle to like show our dissatisfaction, but I just hope people realize it's not going to help. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's nice and it's good that we show dissatisfaction, but it's not going to change anything. It really isn't. These people don't care. Like, why would they care? Why would they care? Think about it. Why would they care? They own it. They can do whatever they want. It doesn't really matter what the fans say. The fans turn up. If some people stop turning up, the tickets will be sold to somebody else. It is what it is. The protest should be all about Roman, so that they should know we really want him back. Yeah, but he isn't allowed to have us back anyway. Not that I think he wants to have it back, because I think the media scrutiny that would come if he did get us back. Like, think about it as well. Chelsea are under UEFA and FIFA investigation for illegal dealings under the Roman Abramovich era that we're getting away with, seemingly, with a significant financial penalty instead of a points deduction, purely because our current owners kind of opened or pointed out that, by the way, there's some dodgy dealings going on with our business from the old ownership. But because it was the old ownership and they highlighted it, we're getting away with it. If Roman came back, we'd be getting killed on points deductions. Absolutely killed. So, yeah, I don't know how this one goes. I love the idea. I would also love Roman back. It's not going to happen. I mean, the biggest likelihood is that Roman's son one day buys us. That's a bigger potential of that. But Roman Abramovich himself, not seeing that. But ladies and gentlemen, I think it's about time we wrap this one up. Thank you guys for watching. It's tough. Of course, check out mine and Pice's podcast, Chelsea Unfiltered. The link is down in the description. We will put out a new episode probably on Monday. I know usually Tuesday is our day, but if the game is earlier, we like to put it out a bit early so there's not so many days kind of passing between the recording and the upload. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. That would be massively appreciated. Hit the like button on your way out. That would be appreciated as well. But yeah, like I say, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and I will see you next time.